Why is it that when we hear sanctions, we always think of banks and angry billionaires, but never the mother who cannot find medicine to stop her child's seizures? Why do politicians in the West celebrate economic sanctions as surgical strike while they have sent the healthcare of entire nations back to 1970s? For every single year a country remains under economic sanctions, the average life expectancy for the entire population drops by 0.3 years. That does not sound much, but if you look at the scale of a large population, that's really significant. In this video, I'm going to explain to you how we as a human species have allowed a single memo from the Washington to become a death sentence for patients thousands of miles away. Welcome to the world of inhumane medical sanctions. Let's get into it. Whenever new sanctions are announced, politicians rush to the camera to give you the same scripted line. Don't worry, this is a very targeted measure. Food and medicine are exempted. Technically, it's a fact, but in the real world, it's a total lie. In this video, I'm going to show you 3 specific ways these exemptions never save a life. And by the time we get to the third one, you will see how something as mundane as a AA battery can be turned into a death warrant. The first one I call death by paperwork. Imagine you are a pharmacist in Iran or Cuba. You're trying to buy drugs for kids with thalassemia, a rare blood disorder. You have the money. The medicine is sitting in a warehouse in Europe, but to get it, a bank has to process the payments. Here is the first problem. The US Treasury tells the bank, sure, you want to go ahead with the transaction? Do it. But if we find even a tiny error, we're gonna fine you billions of dollars and shut you out of the global economy. What does the bank do? They don't risk it, they just go to the hospital. This is called overcompliance. By the way, in the last few years, the mortality rate for these patients in Iran shot up 6 times higher than normal. They died because a banker in Europe was too scared of a Washington memo to click send. Here comes the second, what I call the logistical blackout. Let's say you manage to find a bank to process the transaction. What is the next step? The medicine needs to be shipped to your sanctioned country. But shipping companies will look at the address registered in one of the sanctioned ports. They are terrified that if their ship docks there, the US will blacklist their entire fleet. Look at Syria. During the height of their medical crisis, the price of basic insulin and heart medications jumped 5 times over. Why? Because the humanitarian ships were too scared to dock there. The medicine was there, but the courage to deliver it was blocked. Let's move to the last one. This last one is the most cold-blooded. It's called dual use. The US and its allies argue that certain items could theoretically be used by the enemy, so they are banned. In Gaza, this has reached a level of cruelty, or I should say also stupidity, that's hard to wrap your head around. If it was about uranium, gunpowder, missiles and stuff like that, okay, we can have a debate about it. But that's not the case. Life-saving things like anesthesia, surgical tools, oxygen cylinders, water purification systems, flashlights, batteries, everything is banned. Imagine a situation when a doctor in Gaza has to perform an amputation on a child on a cold floor. Why? Because the dual-use regime flagged anesthesia as security risk. Or a newborn in a hospital ward dies because the dual-use rules block the spare parts for an incubator. Guess what? These are some real stories. When these sanctioning regimes call anesthesia a weapon, they're not fighting a war, they're running a siege on a hospital bed. Okay, to be fair, if there were only isolated cases, we could have called them side effects. But that's not the case. Every single sanctioned country faces the same issue. Innocent people are the first victims of draconian sanctions. A study published in The Lancet estimated that unilateral sanctions have caused over 500,000 deaths annually across 152 countries. I will give you the example of the 2 of the most heavily sanctioned countries around the globe. Let's look at Cuba, where US blockade on oil has literally pulled the plug on island's hospitals. In 2025 and 26, due to the lack of electricity and fuel, surgeries were cancelled and cancer treatments were modified. Cuban doctors reported that child cancer survival rates dropped from 75% to 60%. That's 15 out of every 100 children who should have lived but didn't because the hospitals couldn't keep the lights on or the chemos refrigerated. Then there is the case of Venezuela. The overcompliance that I mentioned earlier has pushed around 300,000 people at risk because they lost access to medicine for HIV, kidney disease and cancer. Apart from that, the medical sanction has led to a bigger problem. When the tested and tried medicine vanish out of market, people don't just stop being sick, they get desperate. They turn to the black market to buy counterfeit insulin or low-quality generics that actually make the bacteria in their bodies stronger while their organs fail. At the end of the day, if a policy is designed to pressure a regime, but the only people feeling the pressure are patients in hospitals, we have to ask, is it actually a sanction or is it just a siege with better marketing team? By the way, I have talked about the US sanctions in my previous video. Please Watch it to get a quick idea of how sanctions work and why they're dumb and also at the same time lethal. Thank you for watching the Siren Scene. If you found the issue frustrating as I did, please hit the like button and leave your comment. Tell me what you think about it. I will see you in the next one.